Hello, everybody. Welcome to our next Hollow Knight All Skills Tournament 2021. Today we have Spicy and Tipu, and my co-com Jeff is with me. We're going to get the runners counted down, and then we'll get started. In the meantime, we have a PB of 53.20 for Spicy and 102.13 for Tipu, so about 10 minutes between the two runners. So we'll see how this race goes. It should be pretty good. For anyone unfamiliar with the all skills category, what we do is we need to get all the skills, which is all our movement and movement upgrades, spells and spell upgrades, and nail arts, and then we have to finish the game.
Yep.
All right, we're just getting racers counted in.
Yep. Just letting them get onto the file select screen before we count them down.
We've had some internet issues, so that's why we've got a delay, but hopefully they're all sorted out now and things will go smoothly for the race.
Alrighty. So, the runners should be starting here shortly. We'll be starting off in King's Pass, which should be pretty synced up between the two runners. There's some minor optimizations. There's a little bit of RNG right at the beginning with where a certain enemy spawns in. But outside of that, and for most of the early game, until we hit Green Path, really, there's only so much divergence that can happen. With no movement abilities, no spells, just jump and nail, there's only so fast you can move through an area.
Yeah, especially these first couple splits where you don't have dash or anything. It's just a walking simulator.
Yeah, there's a couple little tricks here and there that can gain or lose you time, but nothing really on the order of magnitude you get when you start to hit like the fireball skips in Green Path and things like that. All right, our runners are going.
Up shortly.
All right, good RNG for Tipu.
Nice soft fall for Spicy. And there's our sync.
Yeah, Tipu going for the setup. You can go for an RNG soft fall there. One of the mechanics in the game is whenever you fall from a certain height or more, you'll get a hard fall where the knight kind of breaks his ankles and gets stunned on the ground for a second. And so there's a lot of little techniques for avoiding that. One of the big ones that's unique to this patch 1.2.2.1 is inventory dropping, which you should see here. The players open their inventory, and what that does is it resets the knight's vertical momentum. And then as they start falling, it uncaps their fall speed, and it avoids that hard fall. So you're going to see them doing that a lot in rooms where you're falling a great distance, one, to fall faster, but also because it removes that like second-ish stun when they hit the ground.
And that hard fall does cost about 0.8 seconds for every hard fall, so it's a pretty significant amount of time save over the course of the run.
One hit for Spicy on the drop, but that's not too bad.
2 for Tipu? Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely some RNG to that. Just where you choose to drop and the exact positioning and how the Gruzzers spawn in all can kind of contribute to, do you get hit or not? It shouldn't be a big deal just to take 1 damage early on. Ooh.
Spicy missing the double kill. Getting beat up a little bit.
Yeah. The aspid spawning in there, you can hit a spike off the ceiling and knock it into them, and it'll one-shot both of them. It's pretty precise on 1.2.2.1. It's a lot easier on current patch, in part because the spawn time in is a little more consistent on current patch, so it's easier to sort of anticipate what's going on.
Yeah, current patch also has a fixed angle that the spike goes at, so it's a little bit easier to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice statue pogo from Spicy. Tipu's struggling a little bit, but he's all right.
Ooh.
Ooh, spoke too soon.
Yeah, that.
Okay, good. That was a good choice to heal there.
Yeah, seeing one heal is very nice there. That jump is a little deceptive. So if you get the statue pogo that Spicy went for, the tick won't get to you before you need to make the jump over to the next platform. But if you slow down a little bit, if you miss statue pogo, if you get hit or something like Tipu did, the tick gets really close to rounding that corner, and it can bump you as you try and do the jump.
Good false start RNG on Spicy's end. He's got 2 Geo waiting for him too, so he'll be at 20 Geo leaving here, which is really comfy this early. Tipu also pretty comfy on Geo, but okay, there you go.
Yeah, 24 already is a lot. And both players taking a dev-intended skip out of the False Knight arena.
Tipu almost at 30 Geo already. It's going to be a nice cushion for him later on. We have to get up to 800 Geo before we get to Dash Slash. So the Geo routing in this particular route is really tight. It's pretty easy to come into this section with like less than 10 Geo on occasion. You want to be around 20-ish, but 28 is really comfy.
Yeah, definitely. The all skills route as a whole is very, very Geo tight. Right up until we come out of Sanctum, and then it's completely free for the rest of the run.
Yeah.
But prior to that, there are some key numbers the runners need to be aware of. The first one, like Kali mentioned, is 800 for Dash Slash, and then we'll need 300 for King Station after that. And those are both points where the exact Geo collection the players do might vary a little bit based on just how much extra they pick up randomly around the world. The way most Hollow Knight categories tend to be routed is sort of only really counting very consistent Geo sources. Things like relics, treasure chests, enemies that drop a guaranteed amount and are in your way like the Balders. And then after that, it's sort of, there's some wiggle and flex in there if you just happen to pick up a lot.
I kind of missed the entirety of Spicy's mound there, so I'm not sure what his Balder RNG was, but it can't have been too bad.
Yeah, it didn't look too bad. Chat asking
froze for a moment.
Yeah, chat asking about the time difference. Mostly that fall right near Statue Pogo before going into False Knight. That fall is probably 5 or 6 seconds. I saw Spicy had like a 342-ish VS, which is a reasonable time, not like super zooming. I know for someone with their PB, they're almost certainly currently behind.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Good fireball skip on the first one from Spicy, though.
Yeah. Spicy hasn't run this category in a couple weeks. He ran it yesterday for one run, but other than that, he hasn't run in a while, so I'm not surprised that he's going to be a little bit behind, especially in these early couple splits.
Yeah. Luckily, I know they have a pretty good amount of experience in 106 as well.
Yeah.
Which is a category that does a lot of very similar things in the areas that are like difficult. So having a lot of that muscle memory and transferable skill across categories is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And there may be some race nerves at play as well, especially in
For
these
sure.
first few splits.
All right, coming up on the second fireball skip, which is probably the most important one. So the fireball, in addition to being damaging, deals right now 15 damage, which is 3 times more than a nail hit deals. It also resets your vertical momentum and pushes you back ever so slightly. So by jumping, doing a really tight turnaround, and shooting the fireball, we can make some jumps that would normally be impossible. Just they're a little too far away. And so we use that to do one sequence break where there is a backup with a fly, but it skips like 80% of green path. And then the other two just save, 3 to 8 seconds of otherwise you'd have to walk around.
Yeah, which Tipu unfortunately has to do on this one.
Mm-hmm.
But his last fireball skip was really clean though. And the backup with the squid for that second fireball skip can be kind of inconsistent too. The squid can definitely mess with you and not be in the position you want him to be, and then you just have to reset the room in that case, which will lose you a ton of time. It's one of those things where if you were going for PB, you would just reset, but in a race setting, you just got to make it work.
Yeah, and that's what makes the second one so important, is just the first one and the third one both have like really easy backups where you can just very casually walk around and sort of eat your time loss.
Yeah.
The second one is mandatory. You either got to get the fireball skip or the squid, or you're out of luck. Spicy getting good RNG from the Moss Knights.
Very nice.
But didn't break that rock.
He still looks okay on Geo though. 304 is a little bit low, but anything over 300, you should be okay.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Spicy, unless I'm misseeing it wrong, and that's a possibility, but it looks like one of the Moss Knights died on top of the rock that's towards the middle.
Yeah.
And he didn't see that and then didn't break the rock and collect that Geo. Luckily, had a ton of Geo from the early game, but is going to be a little lower later on going into Dash Slash. So we'll see how they recover that. Really good Hornet fight, though.
And here Tipu is, almost 25 Geo ahead of Spicy at this point, so he'll definitely have a much easier time later on.
Right. Yeah, and given that they had similar numbers coming out of Mound, that makes me more confident that Spicy did miss that rock.
He definitely
seeing that
did.
big of a difference.
Get a safety heal here. Hornet is the place that you really don't want to die. You don't have dash until you get it here from Hornet. So all these 8.5 minutes they've spent getting here have been all walking. So if you die to Hornet, oh please Tipu, you're stuck walking all the way back from Mound. So it's going to lose you a lot of time.
There's a few things you can skip time-wise, like you don't have to do the Moss Knights again and stuff, but of deaths in the run, we'll talk later on about like choke points that are like really dangerous for time loss, but the actual most dangerous one is just dying to Hornet 1. Dying to Hornet 1 is like 3 minutes or more of time loss.
Yeah, it's really huge. It would be pretty impossible to come back from something like that.
Yeah. But both players out, now heading to Mantis Claw.
See Spicy taking the top route to collect some soul here. If you're used to watching 80% runners, you'll usually see them go on the bottom route. But because we have to do a kill on some enemies coming up here, we do gather a little bit of soul so that we can just fireball them right away.
Yeah. And like we mentioned, the Geo being so tight early is why we're making what can look like sort of a small or not worth it detour. The rocks that Spicy is coming up on here soon are only 43 Geo, but the routing at this point is just so tight that you really need every quick little bit that you can afford.
Dropping some Geo there from the mushrooms.
Very good explosion pogo.
First try, you love to see it.
So yeah, on 1221, please don't try that
Ooh.
trick if you're playing casually on current patch. You can't pogo the explosion there, so you have to do something very different. But on 1221, you can pogo the spore and then the explosion, and that lets you get up and skip a decent chunk of walking around in Mantis Village.
Spicy missing the double dash, but he saves that Mantis Pogo and doesn't lose too much time there. He knew how to lure them out as a backup.
Hmm. All right, Tipu coming up on explosion pogo. Gets it
Nice.
first try. Nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's one of those things that like most runners, like almost every category does that trick. So you have a lot of experience at it, even if you haven't done a lot of all skills in specific. But the early game of Hollow Knight, because of all these little tricks, the double dash pogo that Tipu just nailed,
Really nice.
explosion pogo, they're all things that like if you don't get them first try, you're losing like 8 to 10 seconds. So the early game is very technical in that if you mess up any little thing, you're just kind of losing a pretty big chunk of time right off the bat.
They're also the sort of things that you can get in your head about if you miss it first try, because you are used to getting it so often. So when you miss it the first time, it can kind of be hard to get it the second or even third try.
Yeah. Spicy getting all the hits, so Jennifer gets to live today. And going to Grezmom, which is a nice consistent kill. 3 nail fireballs and then 6 nail hits. Exactly kills it and leaves you with 2 fireballs for cleanup.
Killing Grezmother is required to progress over to Salubra's hut, but it also is a really big source of geo for us. So we're looking at around 420 geo is what we want to be at here. So Spicy's a little on the low side. Looks like he's at 412, but he should be able to make it up either in City or in Hoppers.
Yeah, even though Spicy lost a little bit of time on the Mantis Pogo, they did manage to walk over what looked like basically all of the geo that the Mantis drops, which that's a little RNG. We fireball plus nail slash to kill it, and the geo can kind of spray. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But getting that can be a nice little catch up if you're behind.
Spicy doing a shade skip now. So we take an intentional death here, and then use our shade to pogo up into this transition and get to City early. So another one that we use in most categories, there's some form of shade skip. Not every single category, but the common ones that you're going to watch will have it in there.
Yeah, the shade skip is a pretty gigantic sequence break. The alternative would be to kill False Knight, get the City crest, climb all the way up and go into City that way. And then you'd still have to get Diver Lantern and then go through Crystal Peaks to get over to Right Side City. Or go through Waterways, both of which are hilariously slow.
Yeah. You will see that method in like a 106 run or something, though, since they have to get everything anyway. Routing
Right.
is a little bit different than it is in these categories.
So Spicy now coming down towards Dash Slash. So this is where the Geo is. This is the moment of keeping an eye on it. So they need to get to 800 by the end of when they get to Dash Slash. The hoppers going towards Dash Slash give 96 Geo. There's one extra one you can kill if you really need it, but the primal aspids don't play as nice at that point. So you're really looking to have 704 coming out of the Gorgeous Husk kill.
Yeah, for sure. If you have anything less than 704, you're gonna have a bad time. Anything more, and you can not be perfect on your geo collection and still be okay.
Right. And one of the nice things about being able to have more is the next geo breakpoint is also kind of tight and involves some like enemy farming. So there's nothing wrong with being over. It's not like some other categories, like any percent, where like if you end up with too much geo, it just goes to waste. This is one where the geo works out such that like being over in this segment doesn't hurt you. It's not wasted time.
Yeah, it's definitely beneficial. And you'll see if the runners are ahead in geo, sometimes they'll only kill one row of hoppers, but more often than not, they'll kill both rows of hoppers just because they do want that geo advantage later on.
Right.
And Spicy a little low on geo, but he is above that 704 breakpoint, so he should be okay. Just needs to be careful about his geo collection.
Yeah, it'll be... Spicy's good for now. It'll be a question, coming out of Coming out of Sanctum, what happens? Tipu taking an unfortunate fall there. It's a
there we go.
Frustrating spot. I've definitely done that. The Cowardly Husk can either run towards you or run away from you, and it feels like he always knows which one's gonna get you.
Oh yeah.
Spicy with exactly 800.
Right at 800.
Whew, okay.
So he's definitely have to kill some extra enemies coming out of Sanctum for sure.
Yeah, guaranteed in Sanctum, we get 200 from killing a Soul Warrior. And then outside of that, the other 100 to get to 300 for Kings is completely flexible enemy killing.
Spell Twisters can be a good source of that extra geo. If they get in your way, it's safest to just fireball them anyway, and they give you a decent amount of geo. Other than that, it's just the enemies. Inspire is probably our biggest source of geo.
Yeah.
Whatever mistake and geo that you end up getting.
And luckily, there are a lot of enemies in your way such that you're not really losing time to kill them.
Yeah.
Like, you would have to pogo over them or fireball them, so it doesn't really lose time. All right.
Tipu much healthier on geo coming into hoppers. Taking a couple hits on the way down, though. Those boo flies can be in kind of weird positions and get you hit.
Oof.
Ooh, Tipu. I'd like to see him try to get a heal in.
Yeah.
Okay, good. The Aspids can really be problematic if you get on low health here. One wrong move and they'll hit you.
The whole hopper farming section is really unfortunate.
Not the worst death you can have, but it definitely is a big time loss. If you do have to pick a death in this run, I would probably pick this one.
Yeah.
As long as he can get back to his shade, he'll be fine.
Yeah, the hoppers are perfectly consistent if you execute everything correctly. But if you miss a nail hit, if you walk a little too far forward and bump one of them, all of a sudden you're in a world where you're taking a bunch of hits and things can fall apart really quickly.
Spicy heading into Soul Sanctum now. Another place where it's easy to get beat up really quickly, but he's coming in full health, full soul. So hopefully he'll be fine.
The silver lining for Tipu is that because they had to do an extra row of hoppers there from the death, they're going to be really, really good on Geo. So like the farming before Kings is going to be very trivial.
Yeah, he's not going to have to worry about anything Geo-wise, is my guess. 831 is a lot of Geo.
Spicy here showing off arguably the most important skip thing in the run, which is using // to skip to Shade Soul. Something that's been patched out on current patch and patches later than 1.2.21, I believe. But it saves a huge amount of time, not just compared to having to go get the Elegant Key and come back down and fight the Soul Warrior in there, but also it means we have Shade Soul for the Soul Master fight, which is a lot faster than doing it with just VS.
Also worth noting that skip isn't possible even if you're running on something like Quality of Life with current patch, because it's not just the lever skip that's changed, like the room itself is different, so it's just completely inaccessible in current patch, no matter what you're doing.
And for good reason. So earlier I mentioned the Vengeful Spirit deals 15. With Shaman Stone, it deals 20. Shade Soul with Shaman Stone deals 40. So picking that up early literally doubles our damage output, which is just a lot of early enemies and bosses just were not designed for you to have that much damage. So you're kind of just going to burn through Soul Master, and there's a lot of enemies that just get one shot now.
That's a very powerful spell.
All right. Spicy goes for the quick kill, but isn't really getting any... Okay. Didn't get a lot of doubles, but Soul Master mostly cooperated by standing still. One of the benefits of Shade Soul is it can go through objects. So we use it to break some soul jars off screen to get a refill right after the fight starts. If you shoot a fireball sort of midway up in the air and it hits Soul Master, he can teleport out and then get hit again because of that, which lets you rack up a lot of damage really quick. But it's a little RNG if he cooperates and doesn't teleport around like a jerk.
Yeah, and what you really don't want to see in this fight is the dives in the first phase. So in that regard, Spicy got good RNG, but the teleporting is really important for those doubles.
Mm-hmm.
Spicy picking, or Tipu picking up Shade Soul now while Spicy picks up Dive. In this
nice
route,
storage.
Yeah, that was beautiful. In this route, we don't get Lantern, so Dive is going to be our access to Crystal Peak. And since we don't get Lantern, we will be seeing some Dark Rooms later in the run.
Yeah, the sort of prevailing route thing is, unless you're in a 1XX category, you either get Lantern or you get Dive. Crystal Heart is required to beat the game unless you're doing some like insane Magalore stuff. So in order to get into peaks, you need to have Dive or Lantern. Because Dive's a skill, and this is all skills, we get Dive.
Soul Warrior giving Tipu a little bit of trouble. He's not cooperating very well at all. What we're looking for in that Soul Warrior fight is 4 nail hits and 4 Shade Souls. You want your Shade Souls to double so that you only have to shoot 2 of them. But when he teleports around like that, it's really hard to get those doubles on him.
So Spicy coming back out here is going to take the bench in Spire. And then we're heading into a very long section of the game without a bench or save.
See how Tipu's quick kill goes.
Getting dives and didn't get any teleports is unfortunate.
He was really close to those spikes. There's a chance he could have hit him into those spikes to do 50 damage. But it is a little bit tricky to get that to happen.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that you can't do on current patch is the spike damage.
And here we're seeing sort of the punish, I guess, for lack of a better term, for Spicy from missing that rock finally, is had to kill several extra enemies in order to get to the 300 Geo for Kings. Luckily, from here on out for the rest of the game, the players don't have to think about Geo at all.
Yeah, we'll pick up Watcher Geo Chest after we do Watcher Nights, and then after that, everything we need to buy is covered in that, and then whatever devouts we have to kill in Beast Den. So it'll be pretty comfy from here on out.
Yeah, the Watcher chest is gigantic and really just pays for so much. In all skills, we use it for the entire back half of the run, and then any percent uses it to be able to afford Lantern with very minimal resources.
This route doesn't make any trips to Lem, so we don't have to pick up any relics or anything like that. So all of our Geo is from these little Geo sources we collected along the way. So it makes us not have to do like left side of city basically at all.
Spicy making their way into Crystal Peaks. I know Peaks is a lot of players' favorite area. The movement feels really good when you get it right, because the whole area is very cycle based. So when you nail the cycles, you sort of just fly through every room and it looks awesome. But that also means that if you miss a wall jump, if you miss a pogo, if something happens, all of a sudden you're off cycle and it's easy to take 2-3 hits in a row adjusting.
Tipu falling again. There we go. Yeah, it's very easy to get tangled up in one little error and find yourself almost dead in peak, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do die here, it's the bench you go back to is the Spire bench, so it's a big time loss.
Yeah. Outside of Hornet 1, a late Crystal Peaks death is probably the longest possible death in the run.
If you can manage to get Crystal Heart before dying, like if you die in Mound instead of in the Crystal Heart room, it's a little bit better coming back because you can C-dash a lot of the way. But if you don't have C-dash yet, it's a really huge time loss.
Yeah.
It's going to be virtually impossible to come back from. And unfortunately, this is exactly what we're talking about. And he doesn't have any soul.
And see here, you're seeing the lasers where, talking about those cycles, those enemies can fire, and because Tipu was off, or not Tipu, Spicy was off cycle, you're in this world where like you have to extra slow down because otherwise you'll get swept by a laser coming from one of those crystal enemies.
Two health is pretty shaky here too. There's a cycle coming up where an intentional damage tank is sometimes the option runners take. A lot of runners don't know the damageless cycle, and it's also easy to fail the damageless cycle. And then you'll want 2 HP coming into Mound at a minimum to do a skip later on. So we'll see.
Yeah, Spicy knows damageless.
Spicy decides to handle this.
I'm not surprised Spicy knows the damageless. I know they've run 106, and that's another one where like you do damageless because you're doing the same, damage boosty long sequence through crystallized mound and such.
Mm-hmm.
So that was well executed, and assuming they get through the crushers and stuff, you do only need 2 health.
Yeah, 2 health and enough soul to do a dive, and you should be fine. He's opting to heal, which I can't blame him for at all.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's no reason to risk it. I don't know if Spicy's watching the stream or not, but they are about a little over 2 minutes ahead, and a late death is give or take 2 minutes. So
yeah, it would probably put Tipu in the lead. Ooh, good choice to heal, as it turns out. And Spicy's gonna come up on the first of our dark rooms. There's a couple different strategies to go through here. I expect Spicy to do dash strats. Ooh, that was nice wall cling.
ooh, yeah, that was super fancy. I knew you could get wall cling storage there. I'd not seen the whole carrying it through to zip into the dark room.
That's very swag.
Yeah. Spicy with a clean dash strat in the dark room actually came really close to taking a hit. I know it's hard to see what's going on, but he was within a very small distance from sliding down into the spikes at the bottom at one point.
Yeah, it was a nice save for sure. Okay, he should be good now. It's easy to get wombo comboed in this room. Ooh, spoke too soon.
And that is okay.
All right.
Whew.
Now he's got it.
Yeah. That hazard respawn was very scary because it put the Crystal Hunter above him, which is not where you want them to be. They're much nicer on 1221. They don't fire nearly as often, but they are still very scary enemies.
Yeah, and you can get like hazard respawn directly into a crystal and immediately take damage.
Mm-hmm.
Even in 3 health, you can die really quickly when something like that happens. But Spicy is safe now. It's impossible to take damage in this split. Resting Grounds is completely safe. It's possible to fall and lose time, but you're not going to die. And then once we get Dream Nail, we will quit back to that Spire bench and be at full health.
Yep. So Spicy's sort of just in a home free, going through the motions to get Dream Nail and all that stuff. Tipu coming into the Crystal Heart room, nails the damageless cycle.
Yeah, Tipu on 4 health is looking really nice.
Gets the underplat.
2 underplats, you love to see it.
Braver than I.
Same. I've dropped that for races.
I went for it in a recent race and then got hit and took 2 damage, and I'm like, nope, never again.
Yeah, I died in peak in like 2 races ago, and I'm not taking risks there anymore.
Spicy taking an unfortunate fall in Dream Plats. Looks like missed a wall jump off the side of a platform and just sort of slid into the abyss. You don't take damage in the dream sequence, but it does respawn you on the platform and lose, I want to say like 7 to 10 seconds, depending on.
Yeah, in that range for sure.
And takes another fall, going for the underplat.
You taking a hit to Crushers. There we go. He's through safely now.
Tipu got the wall cling storage, but didn't dash to keep it going.
Killing that Crystal Hunter for safety, I can't blame him.
Tipu going with a very safe dash strat in the dark room, but makes it through.
Yeah. That still looks like it was faster than C-dash strats.
Yeah,
and he got through safely.
So, assuming nothing strange happens in Crystallized Mound or Dream Plats, Tipu should be gaining some time here.
Yeah, really nice peek from Tipu.
And Tipu not going for the Crystal Pogo there. You lose a very small amount of time, but it's much, much safer.
especially being on only 2 health, which is what you need to do this animation storage glitch for early control. Ooh, which he fails, unfortunately.
Yeah, did the dash slash a little early, decides to just immediately break the crystal.
Yeah.
I think I like that. The dash slash skip only saves a few seconds, so I'm not even sure if charging up the dash slash again would save time at that point.
Spicy in the middle of the Watcher Knights fight, getting good RNG so far. This is a fairly safe fight in this category. We do have D-Dark, which gives us iframes for days. But when you do a fight like this fast, it's still not completely safe. It is absolutely possible to die here. But Spicy is coming out on 3 health, which is really nice.
Yeah, unless the Watchers are gigantic jerks about rolling around and stuff, the D-Dark Machine Go Burr kind of just trivializes the fight. You're in iframes for a huge amount of time on 1-2-2-1, and 3 full D-Darks will kill a Watcher Knight. So despite the fact that you'll see the players sort of standing inside Watcher Knights and being on top of them, they're actually very, very safe for most of the fight.
Yeah, a difference on 1-2-2-1 is that you can chain your D-Darks. So on current patch, there's like a little bit of time between your D-Darks where you're not safe. You don't have those iframes. But on 1-2-2-1, you can just chain D-Darks into each other with no interruption. The trade-off is that we can't do that with Abyss Shriek in 1-2-2-1, whereas in current patch you can do your Abyss Shrieks back-to-back. There's a little bit of a delay when you can do them on this patch. Mayo pointing out that on current patch, starting another D-Dark cancels your iframes, and I think that's exactly what happens.
Mm-hmm. Luckily, if you're running on current patch, that doesn't change the fight too much. It just means you need to jump up into the air for half a second before starting the next D-Dark instead of just doing it on the ground. You lose like a fraction of a second on each one, but it's not a huge strategic change to the fight. You're still just sort of smashing them with D-Dark over and over.
Tipu on the way to Watcher Knights now, while Spicy is on his way to Isma's, which is another point that is pretty difficult and probably one of the bigger barriers for new runners coming into this category. It's a pretty precise set of skips, and it's pretty easy to die to them. I don't expect Spicy to take too much damage in these, but once you... It's another one where you can get in your head about it when you fail it, and can kind of snowball.
Yeah, and this is a skip series where like there isn't a backup. You just have to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, once you're in Grove, like Spicy is now, a death in here means you have to get the skip to get back in. We do need that 655 geo we got. So one of the most catastrophic things that could happen is getting the first skip or the first 2 skips and then dying on your way back in, because that would functionally completely brick your run.
Spicy intentionally getting hit by the Horns for early control here.
Yeah, and you'll notice waiting a long time to pick up Ismas to do that, so that they could maintain this graphical effect, which it looks like went away.
Yeah, he didn't quite get it. Got really close, though.
Yeah. There's a little green particle effect when you pick up Ismas that if you time getting hit correctly by the Whorps to get knocked out of that, you can keep that until your next save quit. Doesn't affect anything, it just looks neat.
Tipu getting really bad Watcher Knights RNG and having to shoot a bunch of fireballs instead of using D-Dark.
Yeah.
Little nervous for him right now. Oh, he's good. He's safe.
Yeah, it can be very scary once they start moving. With the way the Watcher Knights spawn in and knowing where they are, most of the sets they start stacked up, so if you can get your D-Darks in real quick and they behave, it's really nice. But as soon as they start moving around and desyncing, you have to start worrying about like the one I'm hitting is standing there and then the other one bounces on your head, which can knock you out of the wind up frames on D-Dark and stuff.
Spicie's heading over to get wings. We'll see how much damage he takes to Malarks. So the Malark, there's an RNG element to it. Their spits are consistent, but the direction they go, like the angle they come out at, can be kind of inconsistent. You can avoid getting hit, but it can be kind of difficult depending on what kind of RNG you get. Stopped his C-dash early to attempt to not get hit on that one, but he got hit anyway. You're going to take a chance to heal here and get some soul. You want to have at least 2 charges of soul for the Broken Vessel fight to get a good jump start on your quick kill. So I'm not surprised he took that couple seconds for that. Getting that wall jump very nicely. You'll see Spicy killing these little light seeds over on the right side. The fight for Broken Vessel doesn't start until all of the light seeds are in his head. So killing the ones that are furthest away starts your fight just a little bit earlier. What you really want to see here is the headbang attack so that you can get those D-Darks in. Not getting any, but he did well with the Shade Soul fight anyway. And now Tipu is on the way to Isma's. Out of these set of 3 skips, I feel like the Spike Tunnel is definitely the hardest. Very clean. The other one that gives people a lot of trouble is the last acid skip, because it does require a neutral wall jump. Ooh.
Yeah, unless you want to learn the setup list version of that, which uses a dash momentum redirection. I don't remember what they decided to name
we're calling those now.
Yeah. You see Tipu walk back through the transition. That wasn't an accident. So there's a weird glitch thing in that screen transition where when you walk through, sometimes the knight just automatically keeps walking to the right and will walk into the acid. Mm-hmm. So players will hold left to avoid that, but then if you don't get the thing that makes you walk to the right, you walk back through the screen transition.
Yeah, and it can happen over and over, and it doesn't lose you a ton of time because the timer does stop in the transition, but it's really frustrating if it keeps happening.
Yeah.
Spicy on the way to the next big roadblock for new runners in the category, and that's Hornet 2. We have to get King's Brand so that we can get into the Abyss and get some skills later, and of course Hornet is guarding that King's Brand. It's a fast fight. Hornet does telegraph pretty well, but it's definitely the hardest fight in this category, I would say. Probably one where people spend their most time practicing out of all the boss fights for sure.
Yeah, it's also a fight where the difference between good RNG and bad RNG matters a ton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, on Watcher Nights, if you get bad RNG, it's slower, but you can kind of just recover with like good Shade Souls and good mechanics, and you don't lose very much time. The problem with Hornet 2 is her parry can block spells, and she can parry almost instantaneously at almost any point and can do it multiple times in a row to you. And so every time she eats a spell with a parry, you're not only missing out on 40 to 80 damage from the Shade Soul, you're also missing out on the soul that you just had to spend. So then you have to nail hit her 3 more times to get enough soul for another Shade Soul. So it's this sort of like cascading time loss when she does that sort of thing.
Yeah, it can be really rough. Spicy not taking safety benches. He may have benched at Hidden Station Stag since he was on the right side of the stag, but I didn't see if that was the case or not. So if he does happen to die, it's going to be a bit of a walk to get back here. But I don't expect a runner of Spicy level to take a bench for Hornet 2 anyway. Question from chat about the timer. Yeah, it's a loadless timer because everyone has a different PC, so loads can be very different.
Yeah, if you want to have a bit of a laugh about that, you can go to the SRC boards for Hollow Knight, and there are some pretty comical examples where like someone is like 12 or 13 places behind on the leaderboard, but their real time is like minutes ahead because someone just has a really good or a really bad PC.
Yeah. You can see, I think Pisces run on the leaderboard now is with a load normalizer from a race. So you can see how big of a difference that makes too.
Yeah, the players are also playing with a 2-second load normalizer for viewing reasons. So instead of having the loads be however long their computer default is, they're extended to be 2 seconds or 2.5 or whatever they agreed upon, just so that it helps it stay a little more synced.
And a pretty nice Hornet 2 from Spicy, and a nice Broken Vessel from Tipu. So now it's Tipu's turn to go face Hornet once he gets these wings.
I didn't see Spicy invalidate his run, so that's good.
Spicy taking a detour. Gotta go check out Bardoon's butt. You'll love to see it.
Secrets of Hollow Nest. One of those things that sadly no category does.
Very unfortunate.
Most of the fun memes, at least like a 1XX category does it, but...
Right. Bardoon gets no love. Spicy running some errands now. Gotta go pick up some more skills. It's a very movement-heavy section from here on out.
Yeah, one of the nice things about all skills, from like a runner perspective, is it's a very consistent category. Because it's a longer category, individual boss fight RNG has more time to sort of get normalized out. And because it's so movement heavy, you'll see a lot of runners very consistently performing close to their PB. Because once you learn the movement through a section, you can consistently just execute on that. Yeah, Spicy picking up Cyclone here. It's sort of out in the middle of nowhere. It's not really anywhere along the route that we would otherwise go. So this is the most recent time we're in Dirtmouth, so we just run out and grab it real quick here. And then save quit back.
Looks like no safety bench from Tipu either. So it shows a lot of confidence on his part. It's very nice to see.
Yeah, I didn't catch if Tipu took the King's bench even.
I don't think he did.
That's a lot of confidence. The Hornet fight is not that long, but because our last bench was in Basin, a Hornet 2 death without a safety bench is like 2 minutes of just walking back. That said, one of the nice things for safety reasons is Hornet does stagger. So if things start to go poorly for you, you can always stagger her and get a quick heal off.
Yeah.
Which helps with that sort of being confident a little more. Is just like, if things go too badly, I can just, take a quick heal or something.
Tipu having a really nice fight. Hornet's giving him some parries, but for the most part, he's getting a lot of doubles on her.
Yeah, and there was a really nice bit where he kind of just managed to keep her stuck in the corner there for a second, which worked out really nicely. And done.
Very nice.
Perfect.
And yeah, he knew that she was dying with that fireball, so 1 health was a non-issue there.
Yeah.
That was a really nice fight.
Spicy heading into our next boss, Umu, the atrocious jellyfish. Presumably we'll be going for a 1 cycle. Umu's very cycle based. In basically every category is sort of defined by like how many cycles can you get away with optimally. Shade Soul categories can get it in 1 cycle. Any percent can get it in 2, but for both of those it requires some pretty precise execution. And unfortunately, if you mess it up, you're losing 20 plus seconds because Umu is cycle based. And yeah, it looks like Spicy's setting up for the normal all Shade Soul version.
Yeah.
Valley did recently post a D-Dark setup that also can 1 cycle.
Yeah, that one is a lot more lenient on the inputs. But being basically a brand new strat, there's not a lot of people that are doing it yet.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it out.
It's a lot of fun. I actually really enjoy Valley's 1 cycle.
Yeah. Spicy there, unfortunately, looks like the Shade Souls didn't double. Because I think Umu did just barely get pushed out of bounds there.
Yeah. He's probably 1 Shade Soul away.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is. Still a solid 2 cycle. But that is about 18 seconds of time lost to not get the 1 cycle.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when you get caught out by, like, you missed a nail hit or you missed a double for whatever reason. Because it's a very minor mistake or miss, and it just costs you a huge chunk of unavoidable time.
Tipu is behind PB just because he did have that early death. But all things considered, Tipu is running very solidly.
Yeah. We are mostly past the sections of the game that have like ultra punishing deaths. There is technically Dark Deepness left, but as much as dark rooms are scary, it feels like a lot of the runners in the All Skills tournament either practiced it enough that it's not an issue, or were coming from a background of something like any percent where you just know the room so well that doing it in the dark wasn't really an additional challenge.
Brando is another place that gives you a good solid foundation for Dark Deep Nest.
Yeah.
And dark rooms in general, because who knows if you're going to find your lantern. Or you can intentionally remove your lantern if you do find it.
Spicy gonna do another collection detour for yet another nail art. Like Cyclone, Great Slash is sort of just out in its little corner of the world, and this is the point when we're closest, so just gonna go run and grab it before quitting back to that archives bench.
Tipu taking 2 hits of damage on the way to Umu. It can be kind of tricky in this room when it's infected. You saw that the inventory drop didn't quite work out, so that made the tick-tick cycle get in his way. See if he decides to gather soul and heal, or if he's just going to bench. I am not sure if Tipu does 1 cycle or not, but we'll see shortly. I suspect they'll probably go for it.
With Shade Soul, health going into Umu is not as important because you have the extra damage leeway. Even if you go for a 2 cycle, there's a little less like, oh, I need a damage boost to keep Umu positioned in the center platform or whatever. But there are also exploding jellies, and I fully expect Tipu to grab the bench here at 1 health now.
Yeah. Ooh, getting beat up a little bit more on the way. He knows where to gather soul, though, so it is nice to see that.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, that was the choice.
Yeah, I think was hoping to get under that platform and get shielded, and that didn't quite work out.
All right, there we go.
Good dream nails there, though.
Yeah. Very good game knowledge, knowing that you can do that. Ooh, that charged Lumafly was kind of mean to him.
Yeah, I would expect here to just see the heal plus dream nail on Umu.
Yeah.
Okay. You can get 1 dream. You can actually get 2 dream nails in when Umu comes up if you're tight about it, but it can screw up some of the positioning for a 1 or a 2 cycle. One dream nail is generally completely free, though.
He is going for the 1 cycle. The traditional 1 cycle.
And
Like
did not get it.
it.
Yeah, I think that was one where was either too close or hadn't waited enough after pushing Umu out of bounds before firing that first Shade Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also 1 Shade Soul short.
Found the funny spot.
The upside of going for the 1 cycle, assuming you've learned it well enough to like get most of the Shade Souls in, is like even if you screw it up, you're only generally a Shade Soul, maybe a Shade Soul and a nail hit away from the kill. So it's you're pretty much locked in for a quick 2 cycle if you miss it.
Yeah, the biggest danger of missing your 1 cycle is if you miss it because you fell off the platform or something like that, because then you got almost no damage in on Umu on your first cycle.
Right. Then you got to do some real tough
fine.
things.
Yeah.
All right, Spicy with a reasonable overgrown mound there. I think right at the beginning got a little off with killing one of the squits, and then so couldn't take the like super optimal position where you get a bunch of Shade Soul double kills. But so long as you're hitting them as quick as you can and getting fireballs, it's still pretty quick to get through that.
Actually, looking at Tipu's splits, I don't have his most updated one, but he actually is ahead of his 103 PB. He has a 1.5 minute PB since then, so he might actually be back on PB pace now.
Yeah, I mean, that death, like you mentioned, wasn't the worst. I mean, it was unfortunate, all deaths are, but it wasn't the longest. And because of all that extra geo, was able to zoom straight to King Station. So, and has played really well since then.
Yeah, his movement is solid enough that I think he could afford a death and still PB.
Yeah.
His movement's looking really nice.
All right, Spicy coming up on our Dark Deep Nest section. 3 health should be plenty. If you do take a hit, it tends to be in units of 2. There are a lot of spikes all over the place, and it's easy to get bopped by an enemy and then you fall into spikes. But at 3 health, it is at least safe from insta-death.
Opting for that safety D-Dark. That means he won't have enough soul to take the quick exit from Beast Den, but it's not a huge time loss. Definitely if you're worried about getting hit in Dark Deep Nest, doing that D-Dark is the safer option.
Yeah, it's a very small time loss in exchange for a very real amount of safety.
Especially on 3 HP. The Wombo combo chance is just so high.
Yeah.
And if you do get hit by spikes in that dark room, you get sent back to the very beginning. So that itself is a huge time loss.
A well thought out mechanic on Team Cherry's part to avoid people getting sort of like soft locked in dark rooms if they get halfway in. But for speedrunning, unfortunately means they are very punishing when you do make a mistake.
Absolutely. Saw Tipu with that swaggy, sketchy wall jump going up to Shio. That was really nice.
Spicy collecting the last Dreamer. So from here, it's just rounding up the last 2 skills that we need and then beating the game. And it is, from here on out, Dark Deep Nest, there was probably the last chance for like a really costly death. You can die on Sibling Climb. It's definitely happened because they deal 2 damage. You only have 3 hits to give. But generally, I wouldn't expect Spicy to take a death there. So should be, I mean, could lose some time on Abyss Climb and things like that, but should be pretty smooth and clean from here on out. I like that safety bench a lot too.
Yeah.
The aforementioned siblings dealing 2 damage means that 5 is a very material difference from 4.
And that's a quicker bench to take than even the hidden station bench. Because you're right there anyway.
Right. Ooh. Tipu had an incredibly clean overground mound and just barely missed the Shade Soul on those last 2 to finish it out. Still really, really excellent.
Spicy going for the swag door. You can get wall cling storage off this door. That saves you a tiny bit of time. But it's pretty difficult. And the swag door is just so swaggy, most people end up going for that one instead.
Yeah, I think it also, like, going for the wall cling storage, if you miss it, is going to lose you time compared to just getting a clean C-dash through as soon as it opens.
Spicy taking that is unfortunate because it means he can't afford to get hit more than once on the sibling climb. So he's going to have to play it a little bit safer. Ooh.
Oof, giant fall.
That fall hurts.
Yeah, and the falls are very scary because the siblings don't really de-aggro. They don't move that fast, but you'll get a horde of like 10 of them chasing you if you get a fall like that.
But he made it cleanly, though. He made it safely.
Yeah, good recovery. Ooh. And Tipu with the super scary inventory drop.
Yeah, that is an inventory drop I haven't brought myself to go for yet. Ooh, the Wombo combo. Hopefully he makes it out of here safely.
Yeah, I don't go for that either. I don't like inventory drops over spikes.
No, I've been hit too many times in those situations.
Tipu's out though. 3 health should be plenty. But yeah, I like going for the soul here. You really, really want to have 6 in order to quick kill the Devout before Hera. And 9 lets you go for that really comfy D-Dark.
Tipu very comfortable in this dark room.
Yeah, because all skills is so movement heavy, the dangerous parts of the
Ooh, he saves it. He unsaves it. There we go. Okay. He's got
thanks.
it.
Yeah. I feel like I'm seeing fewer like unfortunate deaths to dark rooms and things like that in the category and the skips. Simply because I think with it being so movement heavy, people are really focusing on the few run killer spots.
One health was a little sketchy there, but he made it out safely. There's a weird little wall cling storage. Oh, that was swag. There's a weird little wall cling storage you can get where that breakable floor is. That'll like instantly drop you into the spikes if you get it. But fortunately, that did not happen to Tipu.
Yeah, you can avoid that. It's hard to see in the dark room. You'll usually see players, they'll hit that breakable floor and then do a quick hop, specifically to avoid potentially getting any weirdness there. But has the 6th soul. Easy quick kill.
Climbing out of the abyss.
Oof. Going for the cool pogos. I like that.
Yeah, a few mistakes, but overall a solid climb. Especially for someone who hasn't run the category much. And this is a climb that really only happens in this category.
Yeah, even though in 1xx categories you do climb up the abyss, you're starting from a different position and the enemies aren't there. So it actually makes it like a very different climb because of that. Interested to see if Spicy will bench here. Despite having full kit, THK frequently is going to hit runners a few times, simply because Abyss Shriek is our best damage, and you need to be really up in Hollow Knight's grill to get off an Abyss Shriek. So hits are not uncommon.
Tipu almost falling, but he saves it. Having wings here is a huge benefit. Something you don't get in a category like any %.
Yeah, it's hard to overstate how much comfier and more consistent wings makes things. Just because any little mistake or slip, generally just hitting jump again with wings is going to recover you from that you just don't have in categories that don't get wings. You know, you miss a wall jump in those and you're going down.
Spicy opting to bench here. This is a slower bench, but if you are prone to getting something like infinite load, it's a safer bench because you won't have to run all the way back from Dirtmouth in that case.
So Spicy into the Hollow Knight. Looks like a minute behind PB already, so PB long dead, but hopefully it was a nice clean fight. Doesn't get too bad RNG. The all skills THK fight is really interesting if you've come from another category, because the attacks that you want THK to do in all skills are like completely inverted from the attacks that you want Hollow Knight to do in basically any other category.
Yeah, having gone from all skills first to any percent second myself, it's an incredibly different fight.
Yeah. Like, you want all the dashes you can get in, like, true ending or any percent, whereas here you really want the triple slash over and over and over again. Clean fight, though.
Tipu picking up the last couple skills from the Abyss.
Yeah, if Tipu has a clean climb and fight, this is looking to be a pretty easy PB.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely still PBable.
I want to say someone said it's like 4 minutes from the quit out, unless I'm remembering incorrectly.
Sounds about right.
It's either 4 minutes from Abyss Shriek or 4 minutes from Shade Cloak. I can't remember which. But either way, 4 minutes would be under the like 103-ish that they said they had.
Yeah. Yeah, he's at a 102.13 right now, so I think this is definitely still a possible PB.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately, we don't have any usable audio from Tipu, so we'll stay on Spicie's audio until we change to the background audio. Tipu does have sound, so if he PBs, like, it's going to be a submittable PB. We just don't have usable sound for our restream purposes.
Right. See how Tipu's Abyss climb is. I know this is a pretty hype IL, just because there's so many different strategies and ways you can take up this climb. Like, you'll see runners go for a lot of pogos on enemies and spikes and stuff that, like, you don't have to do. There's ways up that are slower but just all land on platforms and stuff. So it makes for a really nice learning experience in the category that, like, you have a lot of flexibility with sort of learning a strategy that's comfortable for you and evolving it over time.
Yeah, a few mistakes from Tipu, but no spike dunks, so we definitely take those. If you do dunk in spikes, the hazard respawns are pretty brutal on this climb. So as long as you don't dunk, you're probably alright.
Yeah, Team Cherry not prepared for the level of speed that Hollow Knight runners were going to bring to the game. Did not give us particularly forgiving hazard respawns here.
Another benchmark I've heard is about 2 minutes from the point that Tipu is at right now to finish. So still looking like on pace.
Tipu has the knowledge, takes the Dirtmouth bench. Another like subtle thing I really like about this category is you drop into the Dirtmouth well 3 different times and use 3 different nail arts. You actually drop in 4 times, not counting the first one. But you get 3 drop-ins and you use a different nail art to break the hard fall for all 3, which is super cool.
You love the content from Tipu.
Yeah, going for, I don't know what you call this one, / night, I guess.
Yeah, I have actually never seen this one myself. I've tried to go for it, but I have not succeeded.
Tipu coming in with 1 shriek worth, which you want to. Yeah, typically, if you have depending on the route you take on your climb, you can come in with 2 shrieks worth. Having 1 is really the important thing, though, because he spawns in and takes a second to get going. So it's a completely free shriek right at the start.
Yeah, as long as he gets decent RNG, this is going to look like a PB for Tipu.
And Tipu having a really clean fight so far.
Yeah.
Just getting great staggers.
Really well-placed shrieks.
Yeah. Okay. Gets 1 scream skip, which is ideal because this is where you get lots of time to heal if need be. Ooh.
That big old head of his. It's a very sketchy heal, but it worked out for him.
Yeah. Definitely scary. Ooh.
He's
okay.
so close. This is... I don't want to say till it's over. But yeah,
okay.
This is absolutely a PB for Tipu.
Yeah, it's...
Very solid run.
GG Tipu. It's such a like clench moment because the Hollow Knight's head is so gigantic and it's so easy for it to just barely clip you.
Yeah, the hitbox on the Hollow Knight is very jank. Alright, we'll get our runners in here for an interview.
Yeah. We will distract Spicy from what looks to be New Game Plus 4 Mask Shards.
Alright. GG's Jeff, congrats on the... sorry, Spicy, congrats on... Congrats on the win, Tipu. Congrats on a PB. Very solid run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you PB'd? Congrats.
I was so salty at the end because if I hadn't died on Dash last, it would have been my first somehow. And in the end, when I realized it was so lame.
Yeah, the early death was definitely unfortunate, but I mean, you played crazy well after that, it seemed like.
Yeah, it was a very solid run. Your movement's really nice. But you've definitely got that sub hour coming very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to see my sum of best because I got so many golds also.
Nice. Yeah, GG Spicy on the win. How you feel the run went?
I felt my movement was a bit messy and all that, but overall I'm happy I played well. I'm happy I didn't die. I haven't been grinding all skills as much the past couple weeks just because before my last 2 races I was just playing like run after run after run and I got a little burnt. But so I'm happy I was able to play well today.
Understandable. The burnouts can be pretty rough in the middle of a tournament like this for sure. Did you manage to get any golds or anything like that?
I will check. I don't think so. I would be very surprised.
Tipu, you said you got a lot of golds?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 golds.
Oh,
nice.
Love to see it. Very nice.
Oh wow. I golded Green Path, which kind of makes sense actually. I had a really good Hornet fight and then just good RNG all around. and then I golded Broken Vessel.
Oh,
Nice.
nice. Yeah, that was a really good fight.
I didn't think about the green path until you said it. Did you know that you missed one of the rocks in green path?
I did.
Yeah, so the Moss Knight you killed fell on top of that middle rock, and you didn't quite break it.
Oh my gosh, I thought I broke it. That explains why I was so low on Geo.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened.
Station. I was
Yeah, it was
wondering
like-
where I missed stuff.
It was really hard to see. I had to like squint at the screen, because his body was just like perfectly over the rock to make it look like it wasn't there.
Oh, so it's a fake gold. Darn.
But yeah, I mean, you made up the extra Geo really nicely.
Yeah.
The exactly 800 at // you love to see it.
Yeah, I know that was scary. The other scary thing was I got the geo glitch going to King Station, and I almost didn't notice.
Oh, no.
I thought I had like 303, and then I had 298 right as I was getting up to like that last Great Husk Sentry, and I was like, "Oh shoot!"
Yeah, a little bit of berry team spaghetti that can happen where like you pick up some geo and it says plus whatever, and then go through a transition and it turns out
It's gone.
it was lying to you. Yeah, it's just gone.
Yeah. But I actually had a really solid start. I was like ahead up until Crystal Heart, where I had the messiest room after God Cycle ever. I took like 3
Yeah,
damage there.
That key room was pretty rough. But
Yeah.
yeah, early game was really solid.
Were either of you watching the stream or your opponent's run, or were you just doing your own thing?
No,
I had it up and was glancing occasionally, but you know, I wasn't actively watching it too much.
I didn't need to watch because I knew I was gonna lose. I wasn't going for the win on this match, so I was just playing my own game.
Probably a
I mean,
good
I think
choice.
that's really
you got
smart.
a PB out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
there's a lot
that's
to
on
be
the
said for just doing your own race and not trying to. I know, like, there's little safety strats you can take if you're ahead, but I do think there's a lot to be said for just like, don't mess up your muscle memory. Don't waste brain power on like, oh, I'm ahead by 30 seconds. Maybe I should do whatever, and just like play the run that you've been practicing for who knows how many hours throughout the tournament and before the tournament.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Either of you have anything else you want to add or shout out before the end?
Shout outs to my internet what that
I am-
broke before the race and then it worked.
I'm so glad it ended up working.
Yeah.
I was really worried there at the beginning.
Yeah.
I guess shout outs to Kali and Jeff for calming this race. I'm sure you guys did a great job. I'm excited to watch it back. And see
It was
what
a
you
good
guys
race.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a really good race to come. Thank you, Jeff, for co-comming. Spicy and Tipu, thank you for racing. GG's to both of you. Congrats on the win and on the PB for Tipu.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
GG.
GG. Bye.
All right, we will see you guys later. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Love you,
Bye.
chat.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
We'll wrap it up
Thanks.
there.
Yep. Thanks everybody for watching. We have there's another race currently going, and we have another race starting at 4 between Fairest and Palm that I feel pretty confident in saying is going to be an insanely hype race. You don't
Oh,
want
yeah.
to miss it.
For sure, that one's going to be really good. And there's another one at 8 tonight,
Mhm.
and we've got some tomorrow as well. This
Yeah,
is
thanks everyone
the
for
last
watching.
weekend of this round, so we're wrapping up for sure, and we'll get our last round underway next week.